5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Okay, in this video, I'm going to do a speed run on Google to have a quick analysis. Now, go on and read the disclaimer and pause for a while. Now, again, the first thing we look at is the revenues, net income, and the cash flow has been consistently growing over the past 10 years. And now, what if we look into the terms of percentage right here? We can see that Google has been actually even boosted by the pandemic situation right here. If you look at year 2020 and tracking till month right now, we still have 2 more quarters to go. And the fiscal year for Google is December. So this latest report that I take a look at, the annual report, it was actually in December 2020. So again, Google belongs to the top 1% greatest company in the US. Again, there are 8,000 stocks listed in the US, but there are only less than 1% of stocks that actually make a great net income, around 39% or even 37% in cash flow. And this is boosted by the pandemic. Right? More and more people are joining digital marketing space. And if we look at the regions, which are the regions they actually have the most revenues? So of course, it's the United States here, that is around half, or 47% we can say. And you have Europe regions, about 30%. Then you have APAC, of which Asia, which is around 80%. And you have Latin America, about 5%. So, okay, so this gives us a very good picture where the main revenue streams are coming from which region. And well, what about business segment? And when we talk about business segment, in many years ago, Google, they actually have they actually have not divided. If you look at the blue color area right here, okay, the blue color bars right here, those are YouTube. And before here, it was actually, if you look at the 2016 annual report, it was actually included together with Google search, and it was actually named Google Properties at the time. So once YouTube has has grown big enough, and they have actually separated from this part right here. So it becomes from Google Properties, all right, which you look into the annual report, Google Properties, which was before, right here. It was branched out to now Google search and YouTube. All right, so you have a clearer picture of what's happening. And also what you can see is the cloud, Google Cloud. They have actually been reporting the cloud services, and it's growing pretty fast right here. Okay, so but the main income is still coming from the search engine. And this is where we want to look into the search engine or actually a YouTube. So we want to look into this part because they are the dominant player in search engine. So now, if we look at the Google's platform, and this is the Google engine, let's say. So the very first thing we know on the surface is it's a free search engine for any public users. And of course, the value proposition, yes, it's free search engine, and users, they type the keywords onto the platform, and the platform takes in the data and it studies the user's behavior. And this is where they say that have artificial intelligence or machine learning to learn the behavior, and they can generate targeted ads. All right, so it's more focused. And of course, that's not all. And users can also explore ads, publisher sites, all right, and it could look at the ads, and this also takes in their personal data. And when they look at all these publisher sites, they read the blogs and news sites and magazines. So whatever magazines they read or whatever they items they look at, so they will be targeted with more of those ads as the machine is studying their personal data. So a lot of this left-hand side here has a lot to do with studying the user's behavior, right? Getting the data back into the platform. Now, let's look at people who wants to advertise, and this is the revenue stream for Google. And first, you have publishers who wants to advertise because they will actually look for spaces in blogs, news sites, and magazines where they could put some banners. And this is through Google AdSense. And this is where they make payment to Google. Right, the value proposition here is to monetize the contents. And for big businesses, because Google has so much information about the user's behavior, and they also provide data analytics to businesses for them to reach to the customers and have targeted ads. All right, so now as you can see, the value proposition for bigger business leads directly to sales. And this is like a labyrinth of the hidden revenue structure. All right, so it looks very plain at sight, which we all thought is just a search engine. But if we look deeper into the business revenue structure, this is how it looks like. All right, so this makes the business makes payment also as well. So that's where. All right, so now let's look at the competitive comparison, and this is extracted on the year December 2020. So it might not be the most updated one for this year 2021, but this gives us a good picture where Google is positioned. And if we look at the revenues, of course, as of today, it's 220 billion, but this is ending the year of 2020, right? Which is about 171 billion, and they have the biggest market cap. So of course, but if we look at net margin, they are not the highest. Facebook is higher, and even Tencent is higher. And you have the rest of the competitors also. Prosus is higher in terms of net margin, Naspers. All right, but the thing that separates them from one another is the market cap and the revenue. So there's a huge gap of that because the size of the bubble is the market cap. And if you look at all the rest of the players, they are either not making money, some are making a lot, but they're still very small. And now, let's take a look on the search engine market share, because this is the most, what I can say, this is the most dominant part of Google. All right, this is the revenue generated for, main revenue generated for Google. So if you look at Google and the rest like Bing, Yahoo, Baidu, and the rest will be like fragmented. All right, so it says here even in the pie chart that Google is around 92 or 93%. It has been very consistent over the years. So Google has always been remained as the dominant player. The rest will be less than 3%. So it's a characteristics of monopoly. And because this company is generating a lot of cash flow, and what we can see here is the current assets is more than current liability, and this is definitely a very good financial health, and it has a very little debt, about 5.4% of debt to equity ratio. So it's not very leveraged on debt because it has also a lot of equity. This is generating a lot of cash flow. Very green balance sheet, and this is the kind of company that I want to put my money in. So again, if we look at valuations right now, this valuation is very high. This is from Simply Wall Street. It's about 4,800, which is a current projected fair value. Current price is about 2007. So it is around 44% undervalued by this source. But if you look at Morningstar, it's only 14.7 undervalued, and it has been undervalued since the pandemic surge, right? So that has been boosting this business. So most of the time, it's either fair value or undervalued ever since 2014. You can see ever since 2014, the price is below the intrinsic value most times. Alrighty. And if we look at Guru Focus, this is modestly overvalued. All right, so it is about 31%, and this is one of the source that is always projecting overvalued in most stocks. So, well, if you have all these three together, sometimes I average that together. Let's say if you average all these values, all right, it still may give you somewhere around fair value, all these three. All right, and if you put a scorecard together, which you go deep dive into the fundamentals and you actually take every number into consideration, where even the future growth is taken into consideration in terms of revenues, net income, cash flow, and earnings per share. So each of them given, given from 1 to 5 marks, great. But this scoring percentage from last year is about 96%. So it's a worthwhile company to invest for the long term. All right, do not want to go too much further into that. But what I would like to do is, before I even end this video, let's go to the technical charts. So if we look at Google right now, if I plot the weekly charts, candlestick charts, and also the moving averages, it's actually quite overextended at this moment, which I'm quite not very inclined to buy at this moment because there's a huge gap right here, and I would like the price to retrace a little bit more. So for me to have a better feeling on this, because I never always trace the rally as an investor. So I will plot from this high to this low triggered by the pandemic right here. So, okay, this is the level that I am looking at. If it retraces back down to this level, which is about 40% retracement, then I'll consider adding position into Google. So right now it looks quite overextended. I wouldn't do much at this moment. All right. So of course, if you look at the daily charts, definitely it looks less overextended, and it's actually it's actually breached the 50 days moving average, and it's also at an important level right here. Right, but of course, if we look at weekly charts, it's still overextended at this moment. Right, it could still continue to go up. Nobody knows. Nobody can predict 100% on the price action. All right, so let's go back to the charts. So okay, back to the presentation. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation, and thank you for your time. Happy trading and investing. Striker X here, signing out.